everyone, I'm Kara Minowie, and this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, September 16th. On today's show, we'll learn about a terrific new program being offered here at Shell Point that makes grocery shopping a snap. We'll sit down with resident Dotty Morrison to talk about global outreach and mystery ministry kids. And we'll talk with Professor Adrian Kerr about next week's Academy class, The Race for Colonial Malaya. But first, we want to remind you that today, Professor Kerr will be holding a class on the history of the Olympian Games in Greece. A delightful retrospective on the origins of one of the greatest sporting events in the world that started more than 2,000 years ago. The Academy class will take place in the Grand Cypress Room in the Woodlands from 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. Sign-ups are required, and it's just $10. And tonight, get ready for some terrific seafood to tempt your taste buds as Shell Point takes a trip for dinner to Fresh Catch Bistro on Fort Myers Beach. Enjoy the wondrous Gulf views with entrees ranging in price from $31 to $50. Pickups start this afternoon at 4:30 on the island, 4:40 in the Woodlands, and 4:50 at Eagles Preserve. Sign-up is required. The cost for the trip is $7 and dinner is on your own. For more information or to sign up for any of the activities we've talked about, stop by the Island Service Desk in the Resident Activity Center on the island or call 454-2282 or the Woodlands Service Desk at 454-2054. Have you ever dreaded that trip to the grocery store, all the traffic, finding a place to park, then spending time maneuvering carts down every aisle? Well, now a new service being offered here at Shell Point can eliminate all the hassle with just a few simple steps. Here's Mary Franklin from Resort Services with more on this wonderful time saver from Daily Bread.
Hi, I'm Mary Franklin from Resort Services, and we are pleased to announce that we have a new service coming your way. It is a grocery service. Daily Bread is a company that you can order your groceries, and they do the work for you. They will go to the grocery store, make all your purchases for you, and then deliver it to your home. And today we have the owner, Ron Viers, here today to tell us all about this wonderful new service here at Shell Point. Thanks for being here today, Ron.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
What a wonderful service for our residents here at Shell Point. Sometimes, being able to go get out, have somebody else go get your groceries can help in many different ways. One, lots of family coming into town, and maybe you don't have the time to go, or you want to spend time with them instead of running out and getting the groceries. Or maybe let's say you're rehabbing and you maybe not have that energy to go get your groceries. They can go and do that for you. You will take care of that.
Exactly.
Or our residents are so busy here. Take that grocery shopping off the to-do list and you can help them out, correct?
That's right. We deliver to many different people with many different needs. Some people need the time with their family. Some people don't have the ability to get to the grocery store. We meet all those needs.
Okay. Now, it's very easy. There's 3 different ways that people can place their orders with you. One of which is the website. And I myself have went to the website, and if I can figure it out, anybody can. It reminded me of when you go and you check yourself out at the grocery store. When you go through the self-service line, you're just pointing and touching. Is that what it's designed after?
Pretty much the way it works. You just go to shopdailybread.com and you shop a virtual grocery store with grocery aisles. You go to the dairy aisle and you click on milk or click on eggs, click on butter, and so on and so forth. And at the end, you just click on checkout. It's just like going to the self-serve at Publix.
Okay. The other way, they can call it in to you, correct?
That's right.
And you'll go through the grocery list with them. Or you can type it out and email it.
Right.
Right.
It's online, by email, or by phone. Okay. So 3 ways to order. It couldn't be easier.
All right. And when you're making your selection, I'm a finicky peanut butter eater. And so I could order Jif, whatever ounce I want, creamy. I can order exactly what I want, right?
Right. Online, you're given the ability to put in options like the size, the brand, particular type, or there's even a box for adding special instructions.
Okay.
So you can be very specific or very non-specific, and we'll fill the order for you.
Okay.
But it's very user-friendly.
So you can even choose to get the Publix brand versus the name brand.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. Now, when I was on the website, I noticed the pricing's right there. How do you determine, because as we know, the prices of avocados change every time you go to the grocery store. How do you determine that?
Well, basically, I shop several local stores on a daily basis, and I'm monitoring the prices on a daily basis. So, you know, one week an item may be $2.99 a pound, and the next week it's up to $3.49 a pound.
Right.
So I simply have to go in and manually update the prices, you know, based on the prices I'm seeing in the grocery stores locally here.
Okay. Your number one store that you go to and most requested is Publix, is that
Publix,
correct?
absolutely.
But you do hit a few others if requested?
Oh, absolutely. We shop at Walmart, Target, Fresh Market, you know, wherever the customer wants us to shop.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, so you have the cost of your groceries, which is just there, and then there's a delivery fee. Is that correct?
That's
and
correct.
How does that work?
Normally the delivery fee with our service is $20, but in partnering with Shell Point, all the residents and staff get 50% off.
All right.
So the delivery fee is only $10 plus tax.
And that's just not the first time. That's here to stay.
That's here to stay. As many orders as you want to place. You can place, you know, 2-3 orders a day, and you know, it's just going to be $10.
Okay. And how much turnaround? Let's say I wake up in the morning, maybe I'm not feeling too good, but I need some food in my home. How much turnaround time do you need?
If you place an order online, typically we can get it to you within 2 hours.
Okay.
Now, if you phone in your grocery list, it may take a little longer, but we can still do same day.
Okay, that's good to know. So by the end of the day, you can have your pantry restocked and something in the refrigerator.
Right.
Right, okay. Well, Ron, thank you for being here today and also coming out here to offer this service to the Shell Point residents. I am sure that they're going to appreciate this service.
You're very welcome. We are very excited about partnering with Shell Point and, you know, being a service to them.
Well, great. Thank you, Ron. And if you would like more information about the Daily Bread grocery delivery service, we have the pamphlets at either of the service desks. You can pick them up there. You can call their business phone number is 239-313-1488, or you can always log on to www.shopdailybread.com. I'm Mary Franklin along with Ron Viers. Make it a great day.
Thanks, Mary. And with that simple service from Daily Bread, you'll have more time to take in the great programs offered here at Shell Point, like the Global Outreach. Dotty Morrison of Solana hosts this program, which takes place tomorrow. She'll be talking about the exciting world of mystery ministry kids. And here with more on tomorrow's program is Dotty Morrison.
Hi, I'm Dotty Morrison, and I'm here with Eleanor Pease to tell you about this week's Global Outreach meeting called Mystery Ministry Kids. Hi, Eleanor. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
So what does the term Ministry Kids mean?
Well, that's actually my term.
Okay.
And it's like an umbrella term. And it includes what we always used to call PKs, preacher's kids,
Yes.
and missionary kids, MKs.
Okay, and you know what? That brings to mind some things I've read in a little book recently. You know how comedians have made famous the phrase, you know you're a redneck if? Okay, we knew that in Texas a lot. Okay, I have some quotes on you know you're an MK, a missionary kid, if. You want to hear them?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay, so here's the MK ones. You know you're an MK if you've had a passport your entire life.
Yes.
You know you're an MK if snow and automatic transmission are things you've heard of but you've never seen. You know you're an MK if in high school you and your best friend go home for vacation to different countries.
Yes.
And you know you're an MK if you tell people you're from Switzerland and they think you're talking about Sweden.
Well, those are good.
Yeah,
My children can relate to that.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so then I have PK.
Okay.
You know you're a pastor's kid, a PK, if you've been used as a sermon illustration more times than you can count. You lived next door to the church in 4 different cities. And you know you're a PK if when no one in the Sunday school class knew the answer, the teacher automatically called on you.
Yes, and I can relate to that because I'm a PK.
Okay. All right, so we know what ministry kids are. Where'd the idea for this meeting come from?
Well, actually, last year we had a panel of women who represented different countries who had served as missionaries.
I remember that.
Yes, and so sometime after that, I thought, this panel idea is good. What could I do? And then I thought, we have a lot of kids who are now retired and living at Shell Point, and and there's another person that'll be coming in, and I thought, let's have a panel of ministry kids and include missionary kids and also preachers' kids.
It's always fun to hear about the background of our friends and neighbors.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so why the mystery? You're not telling us who these people are, right?
No, I'm not, and I think there are going to be some surprises, maybe.
Okay.
But I was thinking especially of one mystery guest speaker who will be coming in to do this. She's not a resident.
Okay.
Actually, she's only in her 50s.
Oh, wow, really young. Okay.
very young.
So several residents and then an outsider will be coming. All
That's
right.
right. And we'll have some readings representing missionary kids. And so it's going to really be a varied program rather than having women sitting and telling their story from their country.
Okay.
So.
And even though women's ministry sponsors global outreach and the women speakers or panelists, men are always welcome. We love to have them come too.
That's right. We really hope the men will come.
Okay, all right. So that sounds like a lot of fun, and I hope that you will come to Global Outreach this Wednesday, 10:15 in the Social Center. You know, we all know that our environment and our culture when we were growing up shapes who we are today. Now, some of you may never have really gotten to know an MK or a PK. You should come and find out what their background was like. Many of you probably are MKs or PKs or had friends that were. I think you'll relate to a lot of the things that are talked about. So there's something for everyone. Hope to see you there at the Social Center. If you'd like to come early at 10 o'clock, there are always some great refreshments, and everyone is welcome.
The Academy continues to offer up great classes that add to your lifelong learning right here at Shell Point. And next week is no exception. Professor Adrian Kerr will be offering a class on the race for colonial Malaya. Terry Kolath sat down with Professor Kerr recently to discuss his latest trek back in time.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here with Professor Adrian Kerr to talk about two of his classes coming up in this fall semester. The first one is a race for colonial Malaya, and the second is the growth of Kuala Lumpur. Thank you for joining me, Professor Kerr.
Thank you, Terry. It's always a pleasure to be at Shell Point.
This is a very fascinating part of the world, and we're so glad that you're going to take us from one part of it to the next.
It's probably the least known of the Far East countries. People know where Thailand and roughly where Burma is, Indonesia, Borneo, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Malaysia is one of these unloved, if you like, geographical areas, and it's a peninsula south of Thailand, and it also incorporates parts of the island of Borneo, and it's a fairly new-ish country post Second World War, but its history goes back to the Middle Ages. And if you're in Europe in the Middle Ages, you're not buying flat screen TVs or Cadillacs, you want spices. That's the luxury product of the time. So anybody of middle class and above throughout the Europe, and then of course that spreads over to the United States, they wanted spice, and spice for a number of reasons. And so there's a huge demand for luxury products, and they were costing the same price as silver. So this was a very special product.
So preservatives.
It was a type of preservative, but it made it more palatable. So when it was going bad and tasting foul, you put some pepper or clove or nutmeg on it, and it tasted okay. And so the demand for these spices, it goes back to Roman times. I mean, the spices were being traded between China and Indonesia, the Spice Islands, back in the Ming time and the earlier time than that. So for 1,000 years, these have been traded to the Chinese, and also in the Roman times, spice came from India, pepper. Of course, anybody who controlled the spice trade was a wealthy person, and the first people to discover spice in the Far East, of course, were the great Arab traders who swept out of Saudi Arabia 700 AD and kept going east, and that's why there's so many Islamic people. Indonesia is the biggest Islamic country in the world because they've exported their religion to Indonesia 800, 900, 1000 AD. The Malaysia area, of course, didn't have quite the same contact and therefore is predominantly Buddhist today. And there is Islamic presence, it's 50-50. But Malaysia and the peninsula of Malaya, and Singapore is at the bottom of that peninsula, and we'll talk about that in a separate session, was the stopping off point for the Portuguese who were determined to get a stranglehold on the spice trade. So you see the Portuguese setting up camp in Malacca, which is a famous old city in Malaya, and then moving on to the Spice Islands where the spice was growing, and then using sandalwood also to supplement their profitable trade. Well, you can imagine in the Middle Ages that people weren't happy that the Portuguese had a stranglehold on this valuable trade, and so the next people to move into the picture were the Dutch, and they effectively kicked the Portuguese out, and Portugal went into decline. So the Dutch then became the major player in the area, and of course we remember that the Dutch made a great empire in Indonesia, the Batavian Empire, which lasted until the Second World War. So the next people on the scene were the British, and they were expanding out of India, and they didn't like the idea that the Dutch should have it their own way, and so there was this tension between the Dutch and the English as to who would control Malaya. And the story of colonial Malaya is taking advantage of the natural resources, which became the foundation of the country, which was rubber and tin. And so the growth of rubber, in fact, and tin was the foundation of the modern state of Malaya. And at one time, 90% of the world's rubber came out of Malaya, and it was controlled by British colonial interests. So it's been a fascinating business and travel story for over 400 years.
Fascinating. Well, we look forward to that.
It's a pleasure, Terry.
So we encourage you to come to both of these classes. The first one is on September 23rd, Race for Colonial Malaya, and the follow-up class, The Growth of Kuala Lumpur, will be October 7th. As always, you can sign up right at the door for Professor Adrian Kerr's classes, and we hope to see you there.
Now it's time to cover all of today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Today is Tuesday, September 16th, and we have a large lineup today. Tuesday is jam-packed full of activities. I'm Mary Franklin along with Bev Chanley. Let's get things started bright and early at 7:15 with the Health Connections Bend, Breathe, and Balance in the Health Club on the island. We're going to stay active at 8 o'clock with pickleball on right behind the Resident Activity Center, and round-robin doubles tennis being played at the Woodlands tennis courts. 8:15 is the time for the Stamp Ministry volunteers to be gathering down in the tunnel. Ladies Golf Association will be teeing off at 8:30. And then we have a caregiver support group and memory care group meeting at 9:15. They meet on the second floor of the Rehab Center. Also at 9:15, you can join open painting in the art studio or join the game of shuffleboard right outside the Resident Activity Center. Then at 9:30, we head back to the tennis courts for match play mixed doubles tennis. 10:15 is the time for the Through the Bible study group to be gathering in the Osprey Room on the island. And at 10:30, we have another caregiver support group and memory care group meeting, and they too will be meeting on the second floor of the Rehab Center. 10:45, we have a Health Connection special presentation by Cheryl Cooper today. It's not your ordinary rubber band. Go check Cheryl out in the social center at that time. And 11:45, Health Connections Living Healthy in the Osprey Room. So we had a busy morning, Bev. We keep on going the afternoon.
Well, here we go. We're going to start at 12:30 with the Mixed Progressive Bridge. That's held in the game room of the Woodlands. At 1:15, it's time for the Knitters group. They'll be in the Osprey Room at the Resident Activities Center. Also at 1:15, we have the Rollicking Recorderists in the Tarpon Room. And again at 1:15, the Women's Ministries Prayer Group. They're gathering at 408 Royal Bonnet. A Health Connections class will be held at 1:30, Aqua Pilates Stretch. That's held at the Life Aquatics Center. 1:30, the Stamp Ministry will be in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. And then we have a Health Connections class, Balance and Mobility, Training Level 2 in the Health Club at 2:45. And at 4:30, we have a dinner outing. We're going to go out to Fresh Catch Bistro out on Fort Myers Beach. Island Court pickups begin at 4:30, 4:40 for the Woodland Courts, and 4:50 for Eagles Preserve. Sign up is required for that. Well, that concludes the Tuesday activities, and we will see you back here again Wednesday.
Hello, I'm Terry Colath with your Academy information for Tuesday. At 9 o'clock, our digital camera prep school continues in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. And at 9:15, improving your computer skills continues in the Computer Teaching Center on the island. At 10 o'clock, we have the history of the original Olympian Games in Greece in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands, and you can sign up right at the door. At 10:15, iWorks, a Pages class, will continue in the Manatee Room on the island. I'd like to take a moment to thank our Pavilion Auxiliary volunteers and to say we have a new reception desk starting in the Medical Center entrance to the Pavilion. And we also have openings on our Resident Relations Committee and opportunities with all 3 concierge committees. Our next orientation is coming up on Friday the 26th. Please see the last page of the weekly reminder in our auxiliary box for more information.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is chicken Florentine with risotto and roasted tomato. The dinner special is Build Your Own Stir Fry for $13.95, and the soup of the day is corn chowder. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a mile-high hot corned beef sandwich with fries for $7.25. The dinner special is your choice of a hot dog or a burger with a side salad, watermelon, and ice cream for $8.25. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church. In this series of devotional thoughts, we have been examining the Life Quest program at ShellPoint. As you know, the Life Quest program identifies 6 dimensions which encourages personal and community well-being. They include the natural environment, the physical, the emotional, the educational, the community and social, and the spiritual. And we at the Village Church are obviously invested in the spiritual dimension. But actually, we are invested in all the other dimensions as well. I like to think of the spiritual dimension as air. And I like to think of the other 5 dimensions as parts of an automobile tire. Without air in the tire, the parts of the tire are damaged and eventually destroyed as the car is driven. Without the spiritual dimension, the other aspects of our lives lose their purpose and their meaning, even their function. And that's why in this series we have been considering the interaction between the spiritual and the other 5 dimensions. You'll remember that there is biblical warrant for identifying the spiritual dimension with air. Both the Hebrew word, ruach, and the Greek word, pneuma, the words for spirit, mean breath or wind. And we have looked at the natural environment dimension and recognized that the environment was created by God and was deemed good by God. And in fact, the Bible opens with the Spirit or the Ruach of God hovering over the creation, bringing order out of chaos. So there is a connection between the spiritual dimension and the natural environment. When we looked at the physical, we recognized that also in the opening chapters of the Bible, God created human beings as physical creatures. But we are physical creatures made in the image of God by virtue of, as only the Hebrew could say, God breathing into the human creature the breath of life. And there's the notion of breath or spirit again. In other words, we are embodied spiritual beings. Another example of how the spiritual dimension is integrated with a life quest dimension, in this case, the physical. We also examined the emotional dimension. The Bible frequently identifies the spiritual dimension of human beings with our emotions. We are not machines or automatons. We do indeed feel things. But without the spiritual dimension, it's hard to imagine our having legitimately functioning and healthy emotions. Today we come to the educational dimension. God has made us as rational beings. We think. We have minds. In fact, the intellectual capacities of human beings are recognized by nearly every anthropologist as what sets us apart as humans. We are Homo sapien, man the wise. But we didn't just show up on this planet with fully functioning intellectual capabilities. We started as infants. Now, I know it's hard to imagine that. We're such a long way removed from those days, but we really did start as infants, and we had to go through developmental processes which involved learning. Some things we learned by experience, some things by observation, learning vicariously through others, and many things we learned formally through schooling of one sort or another. And so learning is something with which we are all quite familiar. Our minds are engaged in the learning process, stimulated to make sense of all the dimensions of life, indeed, of all the dimensions of life quest. And so the educational dimension touches on all the other dimensions. And I hope you are still learning. I hope to learn something new every day. It's one of the things that gives meaning and purpose to our lives at any stage of life. But the educational is a spiritual enterprise as well. The Spirit is once again air in the tire. The Spirit gives meaning and significance to our learning. It takes what is learned beyond the merely academic and enriches our lives. And the Bible makes that connection between learning and the Spirit explicit. Solomon puts it this way in Proverbs, "Turn at my rebuke. Surely I will pour out my Spirit on you. I will make my words known to you." In other words, the giving of the Spirit of God on human beings enable God's words to be known and understood, that is, learned. Indeed, the educated person is spoken of in the Bible in spiritual terms. Proverbs again says, "He who has knowledge spares his words, and a man of understanding is of a calm spirit." And so here's where the intellect, the emotions, and the spiritual all come together. I trust that you found Shell Point to be a stimulating community. There is much to learn, and many of you have much to share, either formally through the Academy or informally as you engage in the many educational and artistic activities that are available to you. But as you are intellectually and artistically stimulated, remember it is the Ruach, the Pneuma, the breath of God, the Spirit, that energizes and gives meaning and purpose to your activities. I'm sure you'll be blessed as you remember these things.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow when we'll hear from Tara Hazard and nurse practitioner Dr. Carol Clark to learn more about the new Easy Access patient portal that puts accessing your medical information from the Shell Point Medical Center at your fingertips. And resident painting expert Herb Sklar stops by to give us some pointers on painting a self-portrait. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, September 16th. I'm Kara Minowie, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.